Hello, hi everybody. How are you? Here I am. I am back home. I was in Hawaii last week for the IRONMAN World Championships, and just to prove, here we go. There's the medal. It weighs a ton, and it's certainly I earned every little piece of this medal. I feel this race in particular was a real mental, physical challenge for me. So I had a few people that were interested, and obviously follow the progress over the last few months of my goings on. So I wanted to just give you a recap of how the race went and some of my experiences from it, and what I learnt about myself and about how our body operates in extreme conditions like that and under extreme stress. So just to take you back, back in February, obviously, I had a cardiac episode in a triathlon in Napier, in a sprint triathlon early in the swim. Finished the race, but I was certainly feeling the effects of something was going on with my heart. And straight after the race, I was taken to St John's and put on an ECG, and they saw that I was in atrial fibrillation, and that's not something that you want to have. And obviously, they were pretty keen to try and fix this problem. So I was sent to Hawke's Bay Hospital overnight, and later the next day flown to Auckland Hospital to have continued treatment to try and get things back under control. And they did a fantastic job, got me back, everything back in sinus rhythm, and I was all good after that. I was able to keep exercising to how I felt was suitable and not going to put me into atrial fibrillation again. But obviously the plan was to do something to fix the underlying problem, and I was scheduled for an ablation procedure in August this year. So that's obviously only a few months out from the Hawaii Ironman date, and I was talking to the cardiologist team about this, and they were confident that I should be able to still. Now their words was I should still be able to complete the event, but not necessarily race it to the level that I wanted to. But I was happy to accept that completion of the Ironman World Championships is as good as a win for me, given the circumstances I was in earlier that year. And just to make things a little bit more complicated and difficult for myself, I had a wee crash on my bike in the end of May, and I fractured a tiny part of my femur, and so I was on crutches for 3 weeks, and then had a sort of a delayed return to running after that. Luckily enough, it healed really, really quickly, and I was able to run a marathon. Funnily enough, I ran a marathon the day before I went in for my cardiac ablation procedure. So I managed to squeeze everything into the smallest amount of time, and the cardiologists thought that was hilarious, the fact that I ran a marathon the day before I went in for heart surgery, but they thought that was a great story. And so I came out of the procedure, had to have I gave myself 3 weeks to take it really easy and gradually build myself back up again. And the first session back into training was the end of August, and that was about 8 weeks out from the Ironman World Champs. So yeah, I wasn't giving myself a huge amount of time to prepare for the race, but I knew that I had pretty good fitness prior to the procedure, despite the fact that I had that broken leg. But I was still pretty confident that I'd be fine to complete the race. So I went back into training, had a really short, intense build-up over those 8 weeks, and just had to deal with a couple of tiny little injuries, which just came about from pushing myself a little bit harder than I really should have, just to try and get every ounce of fitness out that I could for those 8 weeks. And then, funnily enough, just prior to leaving for Hawaii, I contracted a really, really mild case of shingles, which just comes about from a fairly compromised immune system, and that was a sign to me that I'd probably got everything I could out of myself, and any further I'd tipped myself over the edge. So the last week and a half, I did very little before leaving for Hawaii, and when I was in Hawaii, I did very little again in terms of training, just enough to refamiliarise myself with those conditions and parts of the course. And before I knew it, I was lining up for the race. And I got to say, walking down the steps into Digby Beach with some of my best training mates beside me, and some of my athletes who I coach, who are also very, very good friends of mine, it was a real, I don't know how to say it, it was really enlightening, and it was just quite emotional and quite moving to know that I'd been through such a huge number of hurdles over a short space of time, and I was so bloody minded to not let this thing be put on hold or be put off for another year, that I knew that just to get that start line was as big as anything for me. So as soon as I stepped into the water, I thought, whatever happens from now on, I'm perfectly at peace with the fact that I was able to just get to that start line, and whatever happened in the race was beside the point. It didn't really matter to me. I wanted to go and have a good day, enjoyable day. My personal expectations over the past 2 years had diminished considerably as these things had come on, and I knew that all I had to do was just be realistic and be respectful of my body, respectful of the course and the conditions, and just go out and have a great day and have the most enjoyable day I could. So it was really quite an unusual experience. My fourth time in Kona, and probably my most nervous and probably the most emotional that I'd had. It was really cool. And like I have to reiterate that I had such a great week over there with some of the best people that I've known for years and years in the sport. And we all just remarked how much fun this whole process of training and the week prior to the race, how much fun that actually was. And that's what's so important about this sport, is being realistic about those things and just understanding that it's just a privilege to be able to do the sport and make the most of every moment you get in it. So enough of that airy-fairy stuff. Let's get on. So the swim started off. I went off to the left-hand side of the course. That's where I wanted to be. I breathed predominantly to my right. I wanted to be able to see the people beside me. I didn't really want to have to be sort of battling, breathing to the wrong side the whole time. And fortunately for me, that being off to the left-hand side, I was away from all the jellyfish that a lot of people got stung with at the start. A lot of the box jellyfish were around the pier, and I was off to the left-hand side of it, so I got no stings at all. And I was really, 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 really relieved of that, because I didn't want to have another bloody thing happen to me prior to the race or during the race. Took off, had a great clean start, very, very little interference from other swimmers, got straight on someone's feet. I didn't really see the front of any group the whole time, the whole swim. I was just sitting in the draft and just having a really, really good day. I knew it wasn't super quick, but like I said, I didn't want to take any risks. I just wanted to keep the heart under control, keep relaxed. Hadn't had enough swimming in the year to really know that I was going to have a good swim. So I was just happy to get out. Got to the halfway turn, and I could see below me. Well, I'm pretty sure I saw a shark, but I wasn't worried about it because it was really, really deep and there's a lot of people around. But as I saw what I thought was a shark off the side, I saw a pod of dolphins coming beneath me, and it was a large pod of dolphins, and they were right at the bottom. And that was just an incredible thing to see, to know that we're sharing the water with these amazing creatures. And it was just quite a really special thing. I got lost in the moment a little bit, got hit in the back of the head by some guy's elbow, and then I realised, should I better get my head back in the game, and carried on swimming. But later on that after the race, we found out that actually they're probably the dolphins that were around us were apparently keeping the sharks towards the rocks, the beaches, and because obviously the swimmers were quite a long way out in the ocean, and from what I understand is the dolphins were forming some line of protection between us and the sharks. Now, whether or not that's the case, I don't know. It's a pretty cool story. I like to think that was what was happening, and that was just really, really, really amazing to be part of that. Just an incredible experience. The rest of the swim went absolutely fine. Started getting a little bit crowded as we were catching the swimmers ahead, but that wasn't a great issue. Had a little bit of chafing from my suit around my neck, but nothing was too bad. Got out of the water 1 hour 2. I was actually really, really, really happy with that time. It wasn't my fastest time there, but like I said, it was really just to get through the swim and not have any issues. So got out of the water, no problems at all. To transition, got the bike, jumped on, and I wanted to settle into a really, really comfortable rhythm. Again, I didn't want to push myself too deep. I wanted to fuel really well, and I wanted to get up on the bike on the Queen K Highway and just get into the ride and just have a really, really good ride. I had no stress at all about the duration. I knew it was going to take me about 5 hours to 5:20. Had no problem about the time. I had done a number of rides of that distance, of that duration, so I knew that this wasn't going to be a problem. And if I just kept my heart rate and my power in control, then everything would be fine. Got through the ride, absolutely no problems at all. 5 hours 19, and for the nerds, it was 192 watts, which gave me a TSS of 280. So those of you who know, the ideal TSS for an Ironman ride is 280, so I was spot on for what I could do. And whilst the power wasn't as high as I would have liked, I knew that with the time that I'd had off over this past few months, that my Ironman power was going to be a lot less than what I wanted it to be if I was fit and strong. So I just really happy to get off the bike and have not taken any crazy risks, and had fueled really well, and just rode a really, really nicely even paced effort. Got through transition. Towards the end of the bike, probably the last 60k, I started getting some knee pain, which I'd been dealing with a couple of weeks prior, and it was just something I had to deal with. It wasn't too bothersome, but I knew that I was probably going to have this wee little bit of tendonitis pop up, and so it did, but it wasn't enough for me to be too concerned. Got onto the run. I could feel the knee a little bit, but again, it didn't really bother me too much. Settled into what I knew was going to be a comfortable pace, and I just sat at about 5-minute Ks. Now I knew that I probably had 7 hours of good swim, bike and run in me, and 7 hours total. So anything extra than that was borrowed time, and I was expecting to find that once I reached the limit of my endurance, that I'd be having to sort of knock it right back and bring myself home, struggle myself home. But I was running along a lead drive, sitting at 5-minute Ks, felt really, really comfortable. Everything felt great, feeling well. Seen other people out in the course who I knew, and it was a lot of fun, and had some good laughs with people on the sideline and stuff. Really, really relaxed. I just didn't want to get too stressed about anything. And then just as I was leaving Elite Drive, you start running up a slight incline to reach Palani Road, which is a big climb out of town. And just as I hit the bottom of Palani Road, and this was about 12k into the run, so I'd probably been going just over 7 hours of the race. Just as I hit the bottom of Palani Road, I could just feel the very, very familiar sign of being close to trigger of atrial fibrillation. And at that point, I thought to myself, two things going to happen. I could push on and try and fight this, what my body's telling me, or I could listen to the signs and say, hey man, you've done enough today, knock it back, don't do anything stupid, you don't need to end up on an ambulance, don't need to end up in hospital, there's more important things here, you just pull back and just enjoy the day. So as soon as I felt that, I thought I need to walk up Palani Road, because I knew that running up it was probably going to trigger the AF, and I didn't want that to happen, so I was below that threshold. Got over to the top of Palani, got back onto the Queen K, started running again. Didn't really feel like I'd come back to my previous rhythm as I was prior to this, and at this point I thought, am I doing something stupid here? Do I need to look at maybe pulling out, or is that going to be the smart option? I was still in a reasonably good place for time wise, and I felt like I was still on target for a pretty good day. So part of me wanted to just push on and go, just forget it, you'll be fine. But actually it was getting quite difficult to run comfortably, and as soon as I put any effort in for more than 200 meters or so, I'd feel my breath would start going. I could feel that heart about to trigger. So I sort of had this point where I was thinking, I started actually looking at the next aid station for someone who had a phone, because I wanted to ring Kelly and say, hey, I think I need to pull out. What do you reckon? But I didn't want to, because I didn't want to pull out, and I knew that I was going to get shit from my mates from pulling out. So I thought, looked for something else to concentrate on, and there was a guy next to me who started walking just at the point that I had sort of got through out of the aid station. He started running, and then suddenly he started walking. And I thought, this guy's got issues, just like me. Excuse me. So I walked up to him, whacked him on the shoulder. I said, mate, I think you and I need to get ourselves through this thing together. And he looked at me and he goes, oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So he was obviously in a bad place as well. It sounds like he'd just lacked fitness going into this race. It was his 8th Ironman Kona. He's not like he's an inexperienced athlete, but for whatever reason he wasn't doing particularly well that day. I was having my issues. We were both in a bit of a lost stage, and we were both thinking about pulling out, but with both of us there, we knew that it wasn't going to happen. So I said to him, we'll run a cone, we'll walk a section of cones, so one cone here, one cone there, we'll walk that section, it's probably about 30, 40 metres, and then we'll run 2 or 3 blocks of cones, depending on how widely spread they are. And I felt that running that duration or that distance was just enough to just get me back to that point that I'd felt I'm about to go into AF again and not go beyond it. So I knew that I'm good for 3 cones. If I go for 4 cones, I feel terrible and I really need to stop. So that was my line, and this guy was perfectly happy to do that as well. So we would walk a block, run 2 or 3, walk a block, run 2 or 3, and we did this for the next 25 kilometres through the aid stations, and at some point we were passing people, at other points people were passing us, but the fact is that we just kept this rhythm going, and actually we were still going at 7-minute kilometres, which when I look back at, is not actually that bad. Like, as a run-walk policy, 7-minute kilometres to get yourself home is pretty good, because when you're walking, I walk pretty slow, I'm going about 10-minute kilometres, and if I walk too much more at that speed, I'm really going to take my time to get home. So as we were going along the course, we got down through the energy lab. I started seeing some of my mates and my athletes coming back towards me from the opposite direction. They were having great days. Some of them were struggling. Some of them were just having really, really good days out there. And we all sort of had this. It was just a really cool atmosphere. It was getting a bit dark as well. So it suddenly became quite a different race. It didn't feel like I was in an Ironman at that point. It just felt like I was just getting through some event, and it really made it it brought it back to reality that we're just doing this for fun. It's just a sport. It's just a hobby, something that we do because we enjoy it, and we just enjoy the sportsmanship that's within it. And yeah, so the last section along, actually the last 7Ks along the Queen K really didn't feel like it took very long at all. Kelly and Izelda and Cam and Mickey were out on the course cheering for me, which was great, because it was just nice to see someone on the sideline giving you heaps, and where I was having a bit of a joke with them, saying you guys probably need to go to the movies tonight now because I'm going to be a while, but it was just part of the fun of this race. And then once I got to the top of Palani, those of you who know, it's quite a long drag up to the top to the traffic lights, and then it's downhill and flat to the finish. And I started, and we were walking the last part to the corner, and then it starts going downhill, and I just started getting into a rhythm of running down the hill. I felt absolutely fine. My legs felt great. My lungs felt great. My heart wasn't doing anything crazy. I got to the bottom of Palani, and I thought, why do I need to walk? I'm gonna finish this thing. I don't want to walk across the finish line. I've only got 1.5 km to go. It felt like all my problems had gone. All my triggers had gone. The risk of going to AF had gone. My breathing had come back into control. My heart rate was fine. And part of me was frustrated because I thought, why could I have just fought this off earlier and just continued running the whole way like I wanted to? Well, part of it was your body knows that you're going to finish this thing. You're fine. You're not going to die. You're going to make this finish line. It means a lot to me. And I was just able to run the last 1.5 km, and I ran it so bloody well. I passed a whole bunch of people. It felt like $1 million. And the only difference was it was dark. And but I felt like I was finishing the race as I would have been if I was at my best. So to that middle 2 hours where I was abducted by aliens and I don't know what was going on, to the finish line where I was completely perfectly happy with everything and just in a great place, was just meant so much to me. Time wise, it was my worst ever run. It was my worst ever overall time. It was the first time I'd finished in the dark. But in terms of the personal achievement from it, what I'd gone through this whole year, it was probably my best outcome. Not necessarily my best performance or my best result, but it was the best experience that I had in a race, and with a bunch of people, training partners and great mates around me, it was just turned the whole thing into just the perfect experience. So yeah, I came away from that thinking, you're bloody lucky you got away with this one. A few months ago, I was thinking it wasn't going to happen. A few weeks ago, I was thinking it wasn't going to happen. But once I stepped into that water, I knew that this thing was going to get finished, and it did. So quite a long drawn out story here, but I hope what people will take from it is that our bodies are made to reach the goals, but the goal has to be changed along the way if circumstances have forced it to be changed. If I hadn't had this cardiac issue, if I hadn't broken my leg, if I hadn't had the shingles, my expectations for the race would have been quite different, and I may have had the same experience or not, I'm not sure, but I know that with those hurdles along the way, it just enriched this whole performance for me, and it just made that whole experience so much more valuable. Whether I'm going to do another Ironman, I don't know. I think this one actually finished me off. I think the way I am at the moment with my heart, that I don't really want to risk it anymore, and I think I'm good for anything up to 4 or 5 hours, but I think beyond that, it's just taking me a step too far to prepare for and to take part in on the day. So I think that probably, I won't say it definitely, but I'm going to say that being my 24th Ironman, the 4th time at Kona, it's probably going to be the last Ironman I do. But I'm still doing 70.3s, I'm still going to be running marathons, I'm still going to be doing cycle racing and Olympic distance triathlons. So I'm definitely not finishing with the sport, but I think this is probably signed off the Ironmans for certainly the immediate future. Not sure. Maybe I'll see that there's something comes back that I can get on top of this again, or I have a good run of training for a wee while. But I'm quite glad to have finished it out that way. It was better than a DNS, better than a DNF. So it was definitely a finish. So love to hear your thoughts. If you've got any similar experiences, please let me know. Ask me any questions that you have. It was this, I think you can see this meant a lot to me. And so thanks so much to all the people that have helped me out in the past few months and have shared stories and have encouraged me along the way. It's been quite an experience. So take care, everybody. Look after your heart. And if you've got any issues, go and get someone to sort it out for you, because it's not the end of the world if you have to get something done to fix it. So yeah, take care all. Ciao.